How you doing, Paul?
How you doing, Chester? Long time no see.
Oh yeah, pleasure to be here.
Woo. We're back, baby.
Yep, we're here back.
Alrighty, I'm Paul Barkley,
And I am Chester Hernington.
and we are back in action for the Paul and Chester show.
We are back and better than ever.
Woo. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
We weren't able to do a show during the season, which stinks because of COVID.
Yeah, we've been taking this very seriously, making sure protocol, make sure we take all the proper COVID.
First off, 2020, congratulations to the Jaguars on winning their XFL championship. I think I saw it coming. That team was amazing this year. What are your thoughts on that team, Chester?
I mean, yeah, probably they were a super team. Can't deny that. Their roster was very loaded, and they just were a really good team. They just had more talent than everyone else. I thought the Cobras would be able to upset them because they were hot towards the end. But Ben Reese, unfortunately, got that big injury during the game. That knee injury really hurt him, and I honestly think that if it wasn't for that injury, then the Cobras would be 3-time Super Bowl champions because Ben Reese having both Reese brothers was the big key to their success.
Yes, they played very well. They fought to the end, especially with Ben getting hurt. With Ben in there, that would have been such a closer game. That was basically more of a championship, I feel like, than the Jaguars-Mustangs game.
Yeah, that game was a joke.
But the Mustangs have a bright future. I'd like to say
they
that.
do.
They do have a bright future. And speaking of future, let's talk about the draft that just happened.
No, let's not talk about the draft. Let's talk about the 2 new teams. Actually, that was a good transition, so let's talk about the draft.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Paul, who do you think won the draft?
Who do I think won the draft? I would like to say... I want to say the Mustangs won the draft.
You think the Mustang won?
Yes, because if you think they drafted a quarterback, which is what they needed, Chris Harvey, solid quarterback. They drafted second round, Will Nevis. Falls to him. He's a 6'4" wide receiver they could use. That's another weapon. Think about it. They got Will Nevis now. He could actually he has a chance to being like a very good steal for the Mustangs. They have Chris Harvey, Will Nevis. They still have Owen. They're going to probably have Owen play some receiver. They have Robert Scalanti, who is a 2019 MVP.
Yeah.
Robert Scalanti is still Robert Scalanti. They have Chris O'Lean, who's 2019...
Who didn't play much last year.
Yeah, he didn't. But he got...
He played in the Super Bowl, but that's about it, really.
Mm-hmm. And he's starting to get, I think he's going to have a breakout season.
If he shows up, if he's there for like every game, I think he will be a very key piece for the team.
They have Alex Caden, who was a really interesting rookie last year. He was good. Andrew Martin scored a lot of touchdowns for him. I think they're going to be a good team. They might be the top of the American division. There's 2 divisions.
Is that the one with like the Astros and
That's the Astros and the Cobras and the Mustangs. And then the National Division is the Honey Badgers, Jaguars, and Goblins. So I think the Mustangs will take the American division this year.
I mean, yeah, speaking of those divisions, I think the Mustangs probably will take the division. But I feel like the divisions are kind of unbalanced, if you really think about it.
It is.
Because the Cobras have been a very successful team. They're starting to fall apart a little bit. They've lost a lot of key players.
Mm-hmm.
Mark just got inducted in the Hall of Fame. They lost a key piece in Nate Allen. Also another key piece in Lucas Damana. Those are key pieces that they have lost. But they still hopefully have the Reese brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently Ben Reese's injury is pretty serious. And, I mean, he might be just playing quarterback this year.
Yeah, he is.
So, I mean, that's big. That's a big loss for them. If Simon's the only real, key athlete because Ben's playing quarterback and there's less QB runs this year because of the new rule, then I think that they're not big problems.
Yeah.
I think a key loser in this draft, I'm trying to think of who would be a winner and who would be a loser, because I think there are a lot of teams that ended up winning and a lot of teams that ended up losing. I think the Cobras ended up losing because Jesse Garneau is a great player, but Nick Castanelli was the best player on the board, and I think they just didn't want to go quarterback.
Yeah.
But it depends. If Nick Castanelli was willing to play other positions, then that would have been such a steal of a pick because he's such a dominant player. Also, but Jesse Garneau probably was the best. Would you say he's the best non-quarterback prospect?
Yeah, he was.
Him or Kyle. Him
Yeah.
or Kyle. I think Kyle would have also been a good pick there
Yeah.
if he didn't want to go quarterback.
Mhm.
Even though he can play quarterback, he's a utility.
Yeah.
But
Who do you think is a key winner?
key winner. I gotta go Goblins, man.
You going with the
I
Goblins?
think I gotta go Goblins.
Actually, the Goblins, they are a big winner. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it's true. They did draft Cole Vowles.
They did, man.
He fell.
He
I don't
was
know.
what, the second or third
He was the
prospect?
second. He was the second prospect.
And he fell all the way down?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. I mean,
Him and Joe Smith, do you think is going to battle it out for the quarterback position?
I think that could. I think Cole will probably get a lot of the snaps, but I could see, because Cole Vowles can play anywhere. He's a very versatile player.
Mhm.
So I could see situations where they put Joe Smith at quarterback and Joe Smith shines.
Mm-hmm.
And even if both of them hurt, they still have emergency quarterbacks in Vinny Lancelotti, Nate Allen,
Yeah.
and Lucas Damana.
Yeah, it's true.
All three of those could be emergency quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. And
Also, they have, I think a great sleeper that they got was Jared Ruggiero in the 4th round.
that is, yes, especially on defense. He said
Yeah,
his main position is a linebacker, but they'll probably put him at receiver sometimes on offense. But I think he's going to be good for their defense.
yeah. But I also agree with you on the fact of the Mustangs. I think they had a great draft.
Oh,
And
yeah.
in theory, but this is to get to another topic, a great way to segue into another topic. I think the Honey Badgers would have won this draft if they didn't trade Nick Castanelli.
That is so true. The Honey Badgers would have definitely been the top winner. And
Because they got Nick Castanelli. They got that kid Tyler Grandchamp,
he's very similar to Edwin Lamette, who they traded for.
which was a good trade for them, by the way.
Good trade.
And then their 4th round pick was Tim Walker, who he had like projections of 1st round, but then he also but then he ended up falling all the way to the 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if he could produce for them, then that could be a good pick.
Yeah.
But so in total, all draft considered, like all the new rookies that each team got, I think the loser is still the Honey Badgers, just for the fact that if they didn't get Nick Castanelli, if they didn't trade Nick Castanelli and they kept him, it probably would have been the Cobras because of that terrible 1st round pick of Mark Clayman. Horrible 1st round. I don't know what Mark Clayman was doing there.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. Yes, great player, but horrible football mind.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that Honey Badgers in total had the worst draft just for the fact of them trading Nick Castanelli.
Yeah, and I could agree with that. I think the Honey Badgers had the worst draft just because of trading Nick Castanelli, which makes the Astros winners of the draft.
That doesn't make Astros winners of the draft. Who said that?
It says Paul Barkley says that.
Paul Barkley's a butthole.
Let's talk about free agency.
Yep.
Who do you think won free agency?
Good question. Very good question. There are many good answers. However, complete just observations of what I'm seeing, I think the Goblins. I think the Goblins had the best offseason.
Now, why do you say the Goblins?
Because the Goblins, they signed some very low-key players.
Yeah, but low-key players aren't going to win you games.
They are
You
going to
gotta sign big players.
I mean, I think Max Holroyd made a big mistake by not coming to the Goblins. If they had signed Max Holroyd, they would have been complete. They would have been unstoppable. They would have went 6-0. They would have won the Super Bowl. But I still think they're going to compete. I think Max Holroyd will realize at some point that he made a big mistake for going the Astros, and maybe he asks for a trade, and maybe Nate Allen takes him. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? That's the question. But anyway, I think another team that could have potentially won is, I think the Jaguars. Jaguars kind of had a weird draft because Ben Russo was a great addition, but then they also lost Max. So I feel like that kind of interchanges in a way.
Mm-hmm. But the winner of free agency, I could go with a couple teams here. Actually, I would agree with you on the Goblins. They had a really good free agents. They signed a lot of low-key players.
Yeah, cheap college.
The question is that enough for them to be able to win some games this year? Is that going to be enough? We don't know. We'll have to see.
Do you think it is Paul Barkley?
Well, they do play in a tough division. So they're going up against the Honey Badgers and the Jaguars. The Honey Badgers, they did trade Nick Castanelli, but they're still the Honey Badgers. They had a great season last year besides losing in the playoffs. That's just the Honey Badger way. They like losing in the playoffs.
Don't they have Jake? Didn't they sign Jake D'Amico?
They did re-sign Jake D'Amico, which is smart. And they re-signed Stephen Mason.
Yeah.
So that was great on their part. I'm going to go with the Honey Badgers winning free agency because of those re-signings. They did lose Isaiah, but they made key re-signings, and they actually, they did lose the draft, I would say, but they did get Edwin Ouimet, and they got Tyler Grandchamp. I like what the Honey Badgers are building here. I like what they're building. I think they're actually going to become better in a few years. Maybe they might win a championship. You don't know.
The Honey Badgers winning a championship.
Yeah, it's a joke. But can't believe we said that. But
I mean, the Astros didn't have a bad offseason, if I'm
Yeah.
being completely honest. I
Yeah.
mean, Max, even though I don't think he made the right decision, I mean, that's still a good signing. He
Mhm.
also signed Isaiah. That's a
Mhm.
good signing. But then everything else around that, I mean, draft was pretty good.
Mhm.
Trading for Nick Castanelli is good, but would we consider that part of the free agency? Anyways, that segues to our final point. Paul, which team which team are the two new expansion teams, the Goblins and the Astros, two new expansion teams in the SFL? Which one out of those two teams do you think will be the most successful in the SFL?
I'm gonna have to say the Astros, and here's why. They're in an easier division. They're playing Cobras and Mustangs. They're in the easiest division, and they could probably, I could see them taking one game from the Mustangs, maybe taking one from the Cobras, and I think with their signings they signed more bigger names, and like the Goblins, what they did, they signed like underrated talents. But the Astros, they signed some big name players like Isaiah Rivera and Max Holroyd. So therefore, I think the Astros are probably gonna have a better leader.
I like how you're acting like Vinny Lancelotti, an SFL legend, and Lucas Damana are not big name signings.
They're very underrated signings.
They're not. I wouldn't. How are they underrated? Vinny Lancelotti. Well, they're underrated, yes, because everyone's sleeping on the Goblins. They stay snoring on the Goblins. But how is Vinny Lancelotti an underrated or not big name player? He's one of the original players. He's in SFL history for the most touchdowns, and that record is never going to be broken. That's an unbreakable record. No one has even came close to that record.
Yeah, that is true. But
First ballot. Whenever he decides to hang it up, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
that's true. He has a lot of touchdowns, a lot of great career plays.
Also, you said Lucas Damana.
Lucas Damana is underrated.
You said underrated as if he's an unproven player, but he had good stats last year. He had a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, he did have a lot of touchdowns. But I'm talking about like he's an underrated sleeper player.
Yes.
Like he's a good player.
But you're talking as if he's unproven. He's proven.
Yes, he's proven.
I don't care what the SFL media is completely, I wouldn't say bashing. I would just say it's completely sleeping on him. Straight snoring, bro, on these Goblins team. These guys are not big name players. I guarantee they're going to sleep on them in the top 10. But these guys are going to perform. Lucas Damana is going to get a lot of touchdowns. Vinny Lancelotti is an SFL legend. Nate Allen, another SFL legend. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. 2 first ballot Hall of Famers. Lucas, a potential one, depending on how long he plays. Some young prospects. Cole Vowles, Joe Smith, Tommy. Great young prospects. And I think possibly the Astros may have more success in the regular season this year. Because their division's a lot easier. So I could see a scenario where Astros get the 2 seed, and then Goblins get start off a little slow, and then pick it up towards the end. They end up with the 4 or 5 seed, and then they just hit their stride in the playoffs.
Anyways, that concludes our show tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you hit that like button, and we will see you soon.